Hi, Preeti. Hey, Douglas. My God, nice to see you. How's everyone doing? Just wait a couple of minutes before we. Preeti, I've seen a lot of preparations going on. I am tensed now. If I should be able to give you. Hi, that is Kunal too. Nice to see some new people. I hope, Douglas, I hope your family and everybody is fine. Night Lover 20. Nice. The other Preeti. Good, nice. Nice to see you all. Ah, let's see if we can begin in a couple of minutes. Enjoying a good old tea, a masala chai, as I should call it. Uh, for I don't know if you guys can see it, but my T-shirt kind of reflects what the some of the theme will be now for this session. It says FML, but the meaning of FML here, the full form is Foods My Life. Okay, so that always stays. Uh, and okay, so I think we should start now. Okay, great. My name is Amit Sangekar. मेरा नाम है अमित सांगेकर माझं नाव आहे अमित सांगेकर and welcome to Beyond Reading with You Season 2 Session 2 where we do poetries and more. We have something quite interesting lined up for you today, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Before we get into that segment of this session, I want to read out not a small poem, a slightly longer poem this time. The poem is around food, which is kind of half a theme of the session today. And it's a Marathi poem, but I will, as usual, translate it. Though the translation is a big challenge for me, and I think my next guest may actually correct me on certain translations in this particular poem as we go along. This particular poem is by the great G. Madgulkar. G. Madgulkar, extremely well-renowned poet, Gajanan Digambar Madgulkar, and the poem which I'm going to read out is Kaay Vadhale Paanavarti. What has been served on your plate? So it's the thali tradition, especially in Maharashtra also, is quite elaborate wherever it is possible to be elaborate, especially in functions and all. Marriages will have elaborate thalis, festivals will have elaborate thalis, and this poem kind of takes inspiration from that. So, Kaay Vadhale Tatavarti, what has been served on your plate? So, the poem goes like this. काय वाढले पानावरती ऐकून घ्यावा थाट संप्रती धवल लवण हे पुढे वाढले मेत कुटमक पिवळे सजले आले लोणचे बहुमुरलेले लिंबू कागदी रसरसलेले. So it speaks about what has been served on this wonderful plate at such a pleasant occasion. Dhavala is white, lavana is salt. So what comes on the plate first is the white salt, followed by metkut. It's a Maharashtrian spice powder which is yellow in color usually. And then follows are the pickles which come, which are very soaked and very nicely made. And then pieces of lemon. किसून आवळे मधुर केले कृष्णा काठचे वांगे आणले खमंग त्याचे भरित केले निरनिराळे चटके नटले चटण्यांचे बहु नवे मासले संमेलनीची त्यांचे भरले. So it speaks about avla, which is the Indian gooseberry, nicely shredded and served again. Krishna kaatche wange is brinjals or aubergines growing along the river Krishna. Those have been brought, and what you're making is bharit, squashed aubergine, spicy version of it. And while making this, various burns are actually forming a pattern on you. Wow. Chatnan Cebu, and a large number of chutneys are also getting served on your, it's literally a conference of chutneys on your plate. मिरची खोबरे तीसही ओले, तीळ भाजुनी त्यात वाटले. कवळ गुळाचे मिलन झाले, पंचामृत त्या जवळी आले. वास तयांचे हवेत भरले, अंतरी अण्णा अधीर झाले. So it speaks about how chilies, wet coconut, sesame seeds have been nicely roasted. And then jaggery used to make panchamrut. Panchamrut is a preparation of 5 ingredients usually served during a lot of auspicious occasions, pujas, etc., which happen in this. And all these fragrances start coming into the, growing around. And Anna is referred to as the elderly who would usually eat at the beginning. And so he started getting restless, considering all these kind of smells which are going around, aromas going around. भिजल्या डाळी नंतर आल्या, काही वाटल्या, काही मोकळ्या. काही वाटून सुरेख तळल्या, कोशिंबिरीच्या ओळ्या जमल्या. शुभ्र काकड्या होत्या किसल्या, मुळा कोवळा मिरच्या ओल्या. So some soaked lentils, some ground lentils, some separately fried, some separately served. The cues of salad start, koshimbir is a salad, cues of salad start forming. And the white insides of the cucumber, the soft radishes which are there, all of these add to that entire decoration of the plate which is coming in front of you. केळी कापून चकल्या केल्या, चिरून पेरूच्या फोडी सजल्या, एक रूप त्या धयात झाल्या. भाज्या आल्या आळू घोसाळी, रान कारली वांगी काळी, सुरण तोंडली आणि पडवळी. So bananas to make some nice chakli, spinwheels, fried savories, guavas, Peru is guavas, sliced into pieces, then mixed into yogurt, and then come all the veggies onto the plate. So it speaks about alu, I think it is rich. Then there is ridge gourd, wild big black aubergines, yam, ivy gourd. It's a vegetarian poetry, okay, sadly. And pointed gourd. All these vegetables start then making their presence onto the entire plate. चुका चाकवत मेथी कवळी, चंदन बटवा भेंडी कवळी, फणस कोवळा हिरवी केळी, काजूगरांची गोडी निराळी. आहा, दुधी भोपळा आणि रताळी, किती प्रकारे वेगवेगळी. सो फ्रेश फेन्युग्रीक, then some amount of ladies fingers or okra as you refer to, jackfruit, bananas, cashew nuts fruit, bottle gourd, sweet potato. All the vegetables start literally arriving onto the scene, if you should call it like that. फेण्या पापड्या आणि सांडगे, कुणी आणुनी वाढी वेगे. गवल्या नकुल्या धवल मालत्या, खिरी तयांच्या शोभत होत्या. शेवायाच्या खिरी वाटल्या, आमट्यांनी मग वाट्या भरल्या. Now it is the turn of all sun-dried stuff, which speaks about papad, sandges. Sandges are spicy mixtures. I think Preeti will explain them later on, maybe. And kheer, sweet puddings of various kinds. And then comes the curries of various different kinds. सारे गोडसे रातंब्याचे, भरले प्याले मधुर कढीचे. कणीदार बहु तूप सुगंधी, भात वाढण्या थोडा अवधी. So kokum, which is from the mangosteen family, curries from that, sweet curries, and then toop. Toop is clarified ghee. All this has arrived on the plate, and what one is finally waiting for is the white rice to finish the entire plate, and that is when the eating begins. So swarambha, that is how they call it. This is an entire description of a plate which Gadi Madgulkar had given. And I'm literally drooling as this entire session started, and I started reciting that. I can imagine if some of the modern poets will start and will possibly add some non-vegetarian dishes into this poem and complete it in a different manner. So, staying on the concept of food, I have somebody with me today whom I consider to be an encyclopedia of food in a lot of ways. She has written a lovely book called Patpani, which brings to you Maharashtrian cuisine from her particular region. And we also have, we have Swapnil. Yes, I just saw that. Oh, hi Swapnil. Nice to see you. So I will now ask her to join along with her very, very dear husband, and both of them have now become extremely good friends. And that is possibly my biggest introduction of them, that they are very dear, 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 dear friends. Just hold on. So I'm waiting for my UK kitchen, and that's Preeti. Hi.
Hello.
And that is Rajesh. Everyone, please welcome Preeti and Rajesh, extremely dear friends from the UK. Again, contacts made through Instagram a few years back, and which is why I firmly believe that if you share some kind of a common passion, you can really connect with people. And these two people are a fine example of that. And the kind of knowledge they have to offer is also tremendous. So right now I'm going to, Preeti is now going to speak about a very important topic, which I think is very valid in these times, which is about, yeah, we have seen a lot of videos about people doing cooking experiments, a lot of stuff happening. But there is a time when you suddenly feel, oh my God, I possibly don't have this or don't have that, or I'm just left with some basic minimum ingredients. What do I do with them? So, who better than Preeti to tell us some kind of hacks about a normal pantry and doing some kind of magic with those pantries. So, Preeti, over to you.
Hi, Amit. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, to be fair, I do know magic as such. This has come naturally from the family I belong to, basically from Marathwada. Since Marathwada is a region which has very less rainfall, in fact, it's very arid, there's not much of crops that grows. So the scant of crops and less amount of water makes people to think about creating their own recipes in a different way and make use of the pantry and the available resources, especially the
Right.
millets and the pulses around the places,
Correct.
to the maximum. So although the fresh vegetables whichever are available during winter seasons, those get sun dried, and that's how it actually is used throughout the year. So that is
Okay.
what I actually carry on. But there are certain tips which the grandmoms especially give to the grandchildren and their daughters as well. So that's what I'm going to talk about today.
Okay.
I'm going to hand over the phone to Rajesh so that I can show you what exactly I have here.
The comforts of having somebody as a cameraman,
I
literally, I
know, I
understand that.
know, I know, I know. And he's my, I don't know, he's my sous chef. He's my, uh, the partner in crime in everything we do, whether it's in the garden or the kitchen. So, yeah,
Super.
yeah, yeah. So, let me just turn this around. So, okay, should I come here actually? Yeah. So, what I
Yeah.
have here is that's my thermos with tea here. So what I normally
Wow.
do is basically when I have the crops growing in the garden, uh, a batch actually gets sun dried. So this is my
Okay.
methi. Okay, so I sun dry those vegetables whichever are in extra. Some part of the vegetables which are grown are already been used, but this is from my last year's harvest. So that's
Okay.
going to be used in the kitchen later. And what one can do is basically soak these leaves in warm water just before cooking, and these will
Okay.
hydrate again. And that can be used to make your thepla or your vegetable side or anything. These are the sorrels which were in my greenhouse. So these I'm going to use in my rice because they aren't enough, but they'll just give the nutrition they're supposed to give. Um, and again, these are my sandge or vadya. These are moong lentils which I had sun dried. And these are mixed lentils actually. And some of the vegetables which were lying in my refrigerator, I didn't want to put them in the bin. So what I did was, and they were actually limpy. Those couldn't be eaten.
Right.
The best thing to do is basically chop them and put them into these kinds of lentils and sun dry, and they're actually saved for next preparation. You can always use them in your vegetable side. What I normally do is basically fry them, crush them,
Right.
and then pop them into whatever curry I want to use.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So here I just take 1 minute.
yeah.
Uh, the concept of sun dried stuff used to be very common in during our grandmothers and mothers times a lot.
Yes,
They would literally it used to be a big exercise when summers would set in to get
absolutely.
all the papads, the sangays, chilies at times also
Yes,
laid down there. And I remember as kids, we used to run away with those papad ka golas and literally pop them up before the papads were actually made. So some
absolutely.
very good memories with those two. Yeah.
Absolutely, true, true. In fact, even making kurdaya,
Yeah.
when you make
Ah.
kurdaya, yes, that cheek itself is so delicious. Yeah, and these are my millets kharodia. So millets
Okay.
can be actually saved for the later consumption. These are hatavarcha shevaya. These are hand pulled noodles, vermicelli, I'll say, which are made so beautifully by the ladies. I'm still learning how to make them. I'm not a
Aha.
pro with these. So these can be used to make your, just not your kheer, but can also be used for savory preparations, just like your upma.
Wow.
So just temper them and soak them in warm water. Sorry, prepare the tempering first, and into the tempering go these handful pasta which have been soaked in water, and that's a vermicelli again, kurudaya.
Okay.
So that can be fried or also be made into a savory preparation again, just like your upma or
Right.
shevaya upma as we normally call. Okay. Um, I wanted to show you this last stash of green gram leaves that I have from India. I'm just, I don't want to use it because if I finish it off, I don't have it until next year. But
Aha.
this was sent by my brother-in-law from Aurangabad.
Okay.
So this is mostly used in Marathwada.
Okay.
Green gram is plucked after I mean, early in the morning when the dewdrops fall onto these green gram leaves. That's when these are plucked and sun dried and used for preparations. And they give a slight tangy taste to your vegetable because of the dewdrop which has been absorbed.
Nice thing to add a
Okay.
variation to your usual veggies or
Absolutely.
curries.
Yeah, yeah.
शेवयाच्या शेंगांचं पण असतं ना ते.
Ha, शेवयांच्या शेंगांचं पण असतं. Yes,
Yeah.
pala. Okay, now these are the sun-dried stuff. And also
Okay.
papad, obviously. And this can also be fried or roasted and crushed and popped onto your koshambir or your salads to add an extra crunch. It just need not
Correct.
be a fried or roasted papad on the side, but it can also be used as an additive to add the texture to your meals. That's what Nalla has done in many of his preparations, actually.
Yes.
Right. Now to the fresh bits here.
Okay.
These are the coriander stems which I have saved. What I normally do is use them to make chutney, the usual chutney, and that goes into the freezer as ice cubes, and they're always ready for me whenever I need them for pepping up my dishes. Like if I fry some bhaji, I've got a chutney to add to the
Okay.
side. But if I need a mixture of green, what do I say, coriander, ginger, garlic paste all together,
Right.
this ice cube goes straight into the kadai. So I've got the ready mix there and saves my time as well. You can do it for other vegetables as well. Like you can prepare your ginger garlic paste as well and pop it into the freezer. Okay, and I use my chutneys to add flavor to my gravies as well. This is my food chutney made of all different kinds of grams, lentils. And this adds flavor not to just, not in my plate, as you had mentioned about the Gadi Madgulkar's poetry,
Yeah.
chutneys on the side, adding loads of flavors. This also is a great flavor. It adds a great flavor to pohe. So I recall my grandmother uh, making kalolele pohe. She just
Oh ho.
yeah, kalolele pohe. All it was made was with patta pohe, which is thin pohe, tempered with the minimal spices and
Correct.
a dash of this food chutney, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think Preeti, was is this the same thing which you had given me stocked in a jar?
Yes. That's what
Okay,
it is.
that's
Yes.
the one it is. In
Yes.
fact, I think Swapnil had a question. He was asking whether this is the harbaracha pala, and I think Rajesh answered it. It is yes. I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. True. True.
correct.
True.
So
Yeah.
that is right. Wow. I mean, okay. Just one on the point of the stems of the coriander.
Mm-hmm.
So many people tend to literally throw away those stems without using them. And I think over the last few years, I've realized that that is where the entire flavor actually really comes from.
Absolutely.
And I think most of the leafy vegetables have used to almost their entire the entire plant as such, rather than just one part of it.
Absolutely. I remember now that we're talking about it, actually, this has not gone into my book either. Tai, my grandmother, used to add the roots of coriander as well. She would pound it and pop
Okay.
it into her amti to add to the flavors.
Wow.
Just when we're talking, I don't know why I forgot to add about this. Yes, so yes, no, none of the bits of the plant gets discarded. Even the skins are used. The skins can be used to make chutney, like the peels of goats, different kinds of goats. Those are actually you can clean it first of all.
Right.
Once you have peeled it, that goes into the fodni, and it can be used as a, and it needs a slight crushing, and then that can be added onto your plate as a nice accompaniment.
Okay. Savita had a question. She
Yeah.
was asking, what are those big leaves, Preeti Tai? I think the ones, the second ones. Yeah, those
These
ones.
these are sorrels. The kind
Okay.
of sorrels. आंबाडीचा प्रकार आहे हा इकडे जो मिळतो. तर तशा प्रकारचा आहे. जरा आंबटसर चव असते याला.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I'm going to tell you about Medkut, which you had mentioned in your portrait
Yes.
just now. Again, a versatile mix. Just like Medkut, there's a mix called as SRPT in Marathwada as well. And Medkut as well as SRPT and Dangar are used in so many different ways. Either pop it onto your steaming rice with ghee, that should be good enough, or you could even use it to thicken your gravies that has gone thin, to
Correct.
change the consistency. SRPT is also used to make dough balls popped into the amti or kadhi to add to add some flavors definitely, and you get your protein source from there. So all these things were basically made so that the even in the arid regions, even if the famines are there, people still get the necessary protein source in their body. That's how it is
Correct.
done. And one interesting bit about SRPT is, even in my wedding that has happened, although my mom didn't prepare a huge quantity, when the family, the bride's family, bits of the daughter along to go to her in-laws place, they
Uh-huh.
hand over a box or a small pantry with her, and that
Okay.
includes this SRPT, so that when she reaches home, the family helps her to prep up the meal, and they can all have a proper meal
They can
once
all
they
have it
reach
together.
home.
Wow.
Yeah,
But
that's
so
how
one
it
of the
is. Yeah.
amazing things which is very nice to know is even when people had limited resources, there used to be I presume nature has a way of offering things to us which are there around us, which can be literally utilized for getting your daily nutrients in one way or the other.
True.
Yeah, we did not always have those fancy supplements or
No.
fancy foods, but some of the really basic things around us can actually become food supplements for us.
Absolutely. My aji, she used to make a quick dirde with the leftover dough. Kankesa kanik ji hote.
Right.
She would actually mash it in water, enough water,
Okay.
so that this it can be converted into, it dissolves into water and it's converted into
Super.
a dirde peat, and that is put onto the pan as a
Great.
pancake and served on the plate. So quick ways to fill your tummy, actually. Quick and
Awesome.
healthy ways. Yes. There's
Thank you.
lots to
Thank you.
talk. There's lots to talk. Yeah.
No, thank you so much, Preeti. I really appreciate you taking time out for this. And
Thank you. Thank you for
uh,
giving me the opportunity, Amit.
No, and I will turn on the comments for some time, but now I want Rajesh to take over onto a session of. I know a lot of us have either some of us like gardening, or some of us have a passion for doing it in some way or the other, but then space becomes a restriction. Also, at times you may not find it very interesting, but I'm sure Rajesh, who is an avid gardener himself, I mean, among other things which are there, and that would go into pages if I start. But I will his gardening thing is something which I'm really, really very fascinated about, and I must admit I'm a culprit myself. Knowing him, I have still not used his knowledge to start something in my own small space. But hopefully today will be a start. Rajesh is going to speak about how you could possibly explore gardening in even restricted or small spaces in your house. Rajesh, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Amit, for a generous introduction. I'm shy, I'm camera shy, so I might show you more of stuff rather than myself. So
Sure, no
uh,
problem, Rajesh.
the way I thought that I should start is when I started all this, I was not sure as to what each of the things meant, like
Okay.
soil, compost, fertilizer, everything. So how do I know what to put into what to start with? So uh, I'll just give you a brief introduction. So there
Sure.
is. I was just going into Tesco the other day, even during the lockdown, and I
Okay.
found this topsoil pit, which was organic, which was even better.
Right.
Then we had some compost mix at home, and while I was going through one of the poundland, I found the cocoa pit or cocoa soil, complex
Okay.
one, that can be turned into compost with a very easy way. Like just take out the cake, just mash it, and then put the water. It
Aha.
becomes compost. So those things. Then as a decoration, we used to buy lots of sand and other things that can be used. And then something like very simple, like the tea leaves. When we make the tea leaves which are left out, you can dry them and put them and use them as
Are you
manure.
serious?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So what we keep doing is wherever we go, we try to go and get some of the packets of seeds. So and
Okay.
we just pop them into uh, big envelope, so
Mm-hmm.
that whenever we it's the time of February or March, we go and take out some of these seeds and start uh, seeding them. So whenever the seedlings come up, then we can put it into the garden. So
Okay.
just taking a small bit. So if you have window sills, you can use let's say any you can recycle the things which are from your kitchen. If there are broken tea cups or let's say a kettle or a bread uh,
Right.
loaf tin, those are there. So you can take them, take the topsoil and compost, and maybe you can use half and half. Or if you are using or going to use it for flowers, you can take sand, soil, and compost in each rather equal proportion, and then put that into the tin. And
Okay.
then I normally what I do is I walk into the kitchen, people, uh, and then
Oh
the
my
things
God.
which are there, like you got methia, um, then you got dane, methia, you got mori, which is mustard, uh,
Mustard.
watane, which is dried
Peas.
things, so peas,
Peas.
Yeah.
mirchi, uh,
Yeah.
and you can use all of these. Just put them into the soil and water it lightly. Don't water it too much, and it just you just get shoots. The initial maybe within 2 weeks or some, whenever you get those shoots, you can use those green shoots for, you can plug them out, like they would be 2 to 3 centimeters high. Plug them
Mm-hmm.
out and put them onto any of the dish that you have. Like if I make an omelette, I use the uh, mustard shoots and then put them onto it, and it gives a very good taste.
It's like a
And
microgreen.
it's a microgreen. So
Wow.
those kind of things. Then typically you go into the rather, you don't need to go into the nursery all the time to get all those seeds. You just
Correct.
walk into any of the shops that you have. like this is other ginger. And
Ginger.
if you look at it now, what has happened is because of the this season here, it's got these shoots which if I cut it from here and put them into the soil and leave it, just forget it for almost 9 to 12 months, you would
Correct.
get a big ginger piece like this. So I'm going to use this just after this call, and if you see there is another shoot here. So
Correct.
sometimes you get these things and you don't like it, you might chop it off and then throw it. It may not be uh, it can't be used. Now sometimes you get potatoes which have got shoots. Just cut them
Yes.
into the small chunks like this and put them into the soil, and you get potato within couple of months.
Actually, this is what I did yesterday. Literally yesterday, I literally threw them away.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear.
And a similar thing, like sometimes you get garlic and you've got some of the green shoots coming from this side. So just plug that out. And sometimes I've taken this garlic because now if I press it, it
Yeah.
can't be used. But if it has got green shoots, it can be put into the soil and it just becomes a big bulb like this.
Yeah.
Wow.
So uh, anything that's not usable can be put into the soil and it becomes so much more useful. Similar thing with this is uh, halad. So
Turmeric.
Raw
yeah,
turmeric. Yeah.
raw turmeric.
Yeah.
So I'll just cut this like within half an inch and then put them into the soil, and then again like the ginger, leave it for almost a year, forget about it, and then you would get a real rather
A
not real,
turmeric.
a turmeric.
So
Raw.
patience is a key.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes it's not patience, it just leaves it. But all these
Yeah.
things which are on the right hand side, you just
Correct.
plant them and within weeks you will start seeing something. uh, Fun for kids is something like peas. They can just pluck it out and eat it. And
Wow.
the smaller ones, they are really tasty,
Yeah,
so
they are.
very
Okay.
sweet, and it can give fun. Now you
Awesome.
don't have to have all the green things which are useful in kitchen, but you can also use some of the fun stuff, which is the sunflower
Seeds.
seed,
Okay.
or you can pop it into the garden anywhere and it would just come
Right.
up. It doesn't require any further nourishing as such, not great nourishing. But only one thing of caution is that it spreads very quickly, so just
Oh yeah.
use it into a pot most likely. Then
Yeah.
marigold is evergreen, but you need to use it, or rather, in at least in UK, you need to find the season when it's going to grow. So just put it in
Correct.
around April May timeframe so that you can
Right.
get it by August September. And onion,
Oh my God.
yeah. So you just pop this in. Now this onion is ready to be thrown away because nobody's going to use this into the
Correct.
garden. But if I put it into the soil, it would at least give me the
Shoots.
spring onion and then
The
shoots and
chive.
then chive. But as well, I can use it for uh, the uh, rather I would get an onion, the smaller bulbs out
Okay.
of it. The
So
thing that
Rajesh, one question here.
yeah.
Tell me, for most of these things which you have shown, what size of a pot, if possibly somebody does not have a garden, what size of a pot would be good enough?
So, as I said, the bread loaf team is good enough for most of these stuff, which is the small. But
Oh,
you normally even throw away the
Egg carton.
X box. Um,
right.
like, I don't want to call it Xbox 360, but it's X box. So you
Yeah.
can put some soil and just maybe put some of these. You would get seedlings, and even that
Okay.
can be used.
Yeah.
But just a caution that if you're putting on windowsill, the water might go through all this
Right.
stuff. So put some plate below it so that it doesn't rot on your windowsill.
Okay.
Um so uh, and maybe yeah, I have also got some of the um,
Microgreens.
microgreens which are into my garden, which I have put into a, a bed, or kind of a raised bed, plastic raised bed. So
Okay.
I will take the camera there. Just bear with me.
Has it started raining?
Yeah, it has, but
Oh, sorry.
lightly, no problem. So these things actually you get it in garden center, and you can put this into balcony also. So
Right.
for many of the people who are in apartments, if they buy one of these, just put soil compost. You can put the gravel at the bottom and then put soil, and then you get all of these. You can put microgreens. So what we have done is we have got
Mint.
multiple things in it. So we just labeled what we have, like spinach, mustard, so dill. So all these
Wow.
things are cropping up here. And typically, whenever we go and buy, we normally keep the labels there so that
Yes.
whenever we're taking out, it just helps us where we find it. So there is scale also here, and some of these things
Wow.
are maybe bigger than what it could have been taken as a microgreen, but
Okay.
you need to just make a schedule. So if you look at, we have two of the similar boxes here. So
Right.
what we have done is we did the planted all these things first, and then over a period of time, in couple of weeks, we put the seeds into the next one. So when you are
Oh,
take when you're taking the saplings out of that, you basically has or rather when that is done, you get something else, and so on. So
okay.
some of the things is easiest things are these.
Rajesh, you're stuck, I think. Yeah, sorry.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So tomatoes and potatoes are the things which do not require much of your attention,
Okay.
but it just needs the uh, just the soil and then use it.
You
So
want to tell them
Wow.
about microgreens, these micronutrients?
oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Uh,
green
so
manure.
we yeah, green manure. So what happens is if you put mustard into the soil
Right.
and just grow it, what happens is it actually uses rather within the soil whatever nutrients are there. Let's say if you put it in the garden, then this
Yeah.
all the nutrients within the soil are actually held by that. But at the same
Okay.
time, if those plants or if those shoots are put into the soil again, then in that instance, that itself use rather that is giving nutrition to the soil,
To the
and
soil.
that can be helpful for the plant. So it helps the plants to grow.
Wow.
So uh,
Awesome. You have a lovely garden.
yeah, that's what. And whenever you see something flowering like these, blooming
Yeah.
things, then
Super.
that is such a satisfactory thing.
Very
And
nice. No,
then
it's
yeah,
really a lovely garden.
you just need some of something like this, like
Yeah, so this is a full-fledged place where somebody really needs to. Yeah, okay, these
yeah.
things. Yeah.
So
So these are the things which I was referring to people. So if you have
yeah,
any of these small things lying around,
yeah. So these things, like whenever somebody has come up with a plant or something like this, which was in the kitchen and it's
right?
broken off, then I just leave it, put the
Okay,
soil into it, and then start
perfect. Wow.
planting it.
Should we tell
Yeah.
them about neem oil as well? One
Oh
last
yeah.
bit, yeah.
Yeah. The last bit actually, the neem
Sure.
oil or the neem powder. You get what has happened. Okay. The neem oil, or you get the neem powder in the Indian shops here, which
Okay.
can be used. Like take the neem powder, put it into the water, just
Uh-huh.
boil it for rather 15 minutes, and when it is concentrated, uh, just leave it like that for overnight, and maybe
Okay.
next day use that water, uh, dilute it to certain extent, and you can use it as uh,
Kind of
um,
to do away with the pests and
yeah,
bugs
if
and
there are
everything.
pests on your plants
Oh
or
yeah, it's a
anything,
natural
then
pesticide.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is natural pesticide,
organic. Yeah,
organic one,
yeah.
and that's normally sold as a product for
Hair.
let's say
Hair.
hair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
correct.
we use it
Right.
in the garden
yeah.
more
Awesome.
regularly.
Rajesh, there is a question.
Yeah.
Wouldn't rain ruin these plants?
Actually, what has happened is in our house, we have got a water softener, and water softener many times take out all the minerals. So what we have observed is when we are watering the plants using our unhardened water, it
Yeah.
is not giving all the nutrients to the plant. But when it
Okay.
rains, actually it helps helps them a
Understood.
lot.
Yes.
Like
Okay.
this this plant was completely gone, and we just we had actually, if you look at it, it was completely gone. But
Right.
2 days it rained, and now see how many flowers it's got. It's
Strange are the ways of nature.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
So many, and what happens is on the things that I've shown you, which can go into the balcony,
Right.
uh, you're not going to get a direct rain onto them anyway.
Correct.
But if you're going to get it, maybe use a
A sheet or
a
something.
sheet, like the plastic sheet, so that you they get all the sunlight,
Understood.
but you don't get as much water inside them as they are. But they
Okay.
also have holes at the bottom. Those legs have holes at the bottom, so if there is too
Okay.
much of water, it just goes down. And then, yeah, this is the herbs patch that we have in the garden.
Boy, you guys are amazing.
So this is,
Eddie.
and we're not taking care of these plants as much, but they just uh, come up every year.
They
So
flourish. They
Okay.
just flourish
they
on their
just
own. And look,
they're
they've
just
got a
amazing.
friend here. They've got a friend here. Do you see? A cheeky fella.
Correct. Oh,
The snail.
let's not discuss that, Preeti.
No, 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 no. Not at all.
But very nice. Guys, Preeti, Rajesh, a big thank you from me and from everyone who has listened to you today on this. It was really wonderful. And Preeti, if you don't mind, this time I'm going to say I think I enjoyed Rajesh's session more than Preeti's
Oh,
session.
thank you.
Yeah, I didn't mind. I didn't mind.
But no, really, thank you so much. And I think I did not know a couple of things which Rajesh said right now, and I always threw them away, literally, because I didn't know what to do with it. And I mean, I don't know if why anything stopped me from going onto Google and finding it was possibly just laziness. But
Exactly.
thank you, Rajesh. It really means a lot. Thank you, Preeti. As always,
Thank
you,
you.
you
Thank you.
guys are great in terms of supporting and in terms of helping out. So thank you so much. I will see you after the session separately, but I will now continue with my other friend Preeti from Sydney. And enjoy your tea. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.
you. I want to take a screenshot, Amit. Wait.
Okay, sure.
Oh, done? Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Now
bye.
let me
Thanks.
see if I have uh, my other friend around. Let me see. Yes. And wow, what a session. Thank you, Preeti. Thank you, Rajesh, once again. And I am now trying to connect my other friend. Hopefully, she's not slept. Hey, hi, Preeti. This is the Preeti from. I always have to now introduce Preeti from here and Preeti from there. But Preeti from Sydney here now. And once again, with a change of a lovely background and very nice.
Thank you.
And how are you doing?
Good, good. My God, your poetry just was mouth-watering, honestly. As
Okay, Preeti. So I'm straight away going to hand it over to you. I presume you have something very nice also for us today.
yeah, so I'm going to read just one poetry today.
Okay.
And when you mentioned sometime last week that this is going to be a food session, I remembered that back in October, I was asked by a friend to actually write a poetry for one of the poetry fests that she was going for, and I didn't have a chance to complete it then. But then, as usual, you have challenged me. So today I'm going to read out a poetry that I have written. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and I won't talk a lot about this poetry. I'll just read it because I would
Okay.
like everyone who's listening to it to actually interpret it in their own way. And maybe at the end, I'll give a bit of insight in terms of what I thought when I was actually
Sure.
writing poetry. Yeah. So the poetry is titled, "What is Your Recipe?" I pick up a recipe book and it reads, "The recipe has no soul. You, the cook, bring soul to the recipe." And it made me wonder, what is your food for your soul? Are you a colossal paella, an authentic Valencia one, with Socrates the stuck and the burnt rice? Do you feel burnt from your past?
Oh,
And yet, are you willing to unstick yourself of it? Are you a divine dumpling, just a pocket of dough? You can fill it sweet or savory. Do you look that simple? And yet, are you intricately complex? Are you a spicy tofu laksa? Oh, the lonely tofu, tasteless. The broth, the spices, the vegetables, and the meat. Do
beautiful.
you stand out in a crowd? And yet, are you blending in seamlessly? Are you an intertwined pretzel? The loose knot, the brittle cracker, slightly sweet, mainly salted. Do you see your knots of resentment and satisfaction? And yet, in those contrasting emotions, are you tasting your salty tears? Are you a sophisticated souffle? The careful whisking of eggs, the volume and the puff. Do you feel sometimes that you're just a load of hot air? And yet, when needed, are you able to rise to the occasion? Are you the classic tiramisu, liquor and coffee soaked sponge, alternating with cheese and chocolate? Do you hide your layers of vulnerabilities? And yet, are you willing to let us taste all those layers? A plethora of noble feast, a plethora of nourishment. Did you find a recipe for your soul? Do you like to be the comfortable and simple dal khichdi? And yet, are you also the distant but formidable salt? Oh God.
My God. Listen, this is. I've asked this question to you before when you said you were writing about food. How does it come to your mind that you have to link so many things about food to something which is so very us, literally?
I mean, I don't know. It just came. It just came. It was just, I guess I like food, so it just kind of just automatically came through. But then I would also like to say that the way I structured the poetry was I picked up things that are seemingly easy, like, for
Right.
example, a paella. You would be like, oh, you just put all the meat and the rice in. You don't even have to stir it like a risotto because it needs to be stuck to the bottom. And then you end at like which is very complex, which is like tiramisu or souffle. And but then as you read through the poetry, you realize that they may be deceivingly simple, but they are all complex, and each one of us is like that. We are probably we probably look very simple human beings,
Yeah.
but behind all that there is like layers of insecurity and layers of fears, and yet at the end of it all we decide to shine like the recipe we are. So it was more like
You know, you
just
have given an actual, such a brilliant finale to this session today. I started off with something which was written in a very, very old times by a very old poet. He spoke about all the traditional things on the plate, Indian Marathi traditional food.
yeah,
Then Preeti spoke about a lot of how food which is there currently
yeah.
can be used. Rajesh spoke about where the food comes from, what you could do about it. And now you're putting that food into humans in a very different way than you could ever imagine. I mean, wow.
Yeah,
Brilliant,
and it's
brilliant.
yeah,
And I've seen the
it's
comments here. God knows. Charlotte says she loves the poem. Ritika says she loved. Malvika was there. She loved. She loves it. Oh my God! Everybody, everybody. Preeti, the other
thank you
Preeti
so
loves
much.
it. So, what should I say,
Thank you
Preeti?
so.
I mean,
And
brilliant.
I'll just say that I ended up with the salt, like, which is an ingredient instead of a recipe, because for me I thought whatever recipe you think you are, whatever metaphor you are, you go through all those phases in your life,
Correct.
but at the end of it we have one core value that we decide to adhere to, which metaphorically I've called it as a salt, which is basically your presence is very subtle, but your
Yeah.
absence and your over presence is like mist big time. Like it can just wreck the whole thing. So that's how I.
And if I may say, thank you for being the salt on these sessions always.
Oh, thank you so much, Amit. That really
Okay?
means me. Thank
No,
you so much.
really.
Thank you.
This is brilliant. The other Preeti says, please could you share this poetry for all of us in your story? Yes, I think Preeti will do that. Preeti, see, look at the fan following you're getting.
Thank you so much. You have
No,
to show me how to do it. I don't know how to do it.
No, I'll share it separately with this Preeti. She'll love it. But thank you so much, Preeti. It really means a lot. I know you always. I always force you into this kind of a timeline where it is towards the end of the day. You are getting into your next week already. But thank you very much. It means a lot. And I hope you guys are taking care of yourself and your parents are fine too.
Yep. All good. Thank you so much. And I loved your parent session yesterday, by the way. It was awesome.
Thank you so much. You take care of yourself, and I will see you soon sometime next. Take care.
See you guys. Thank you all.
Take care. Thanks, Preeti. Wow. What a session this was. This is my longest session. This was not meant to be like this, but I'm glad it went this